Do you want to be ahead of the game for the latest in arts, music, cuisine, and entertainment across the Middle East's most dynamic capital cities? Al Monitor is proud to launch our City Pulse newsletters, focused exclusively on local news, starting in Riyadh, Dubai, Istanbul, and Doha. Each week, our on-the-ground writers in these cities cover the latest cultural happenings and trends, so you have everything you need to know for the best local experiences. To subscribe for free, go to almonitor.com, that's al-monitor.com, and sign up on our newsletter page.
Welcome back to the Al Monitor Brief. I'm Adam Lucente. Protests in Turkey against the arrest of Istanbul Mayor Ekram Imamoglu continued for their seventh straight day on Tuesday. The demonstrations are the largest in recent memory in Turkey, and more than 1,000 have been detained. Imamoglu, a key rival of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, was arrested last week on alleged corruption and terror charges. The leader of Imamoglu's CHP party, Özgür Özel, has said the protests will end on Tuesday, but it is unclear if the street will listen as the case against the mayor continues. My guest this episode is Al Monitor's correspondent in Ankara, Ezgi Akin. Ezgi provides the latest developments on the protests, the effects on the economy, and what's next for Turkey. Hope you enjoy. Ezgi, welcome back to the Al Monitor Brief.
Hi, Adam. Thank you very much for having me.
Ezgi, you've been reporting from Turkey since Imamoglu was first detained. What are the latest developments with the protests?
So, as you said, Adam, Imamoglu was detained over corruption and terrorism-related charges, accusations last Wednesday, and that sparked mass protests across country because opposition voices saw the detention as a politically motivated move aimed at a major rival of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The Turkish government, in turn, strongly denies this accusation, saying that the judiciary operates independently in Turkey. But they have failed to convince the public opinion, the majority in the public opinion. So far, for 6 nights in a row, protesters are taking to the streets in thousands, particularly in Istanbul, where a crowd grew to hundreds of thousands, but also in Ankara, an aging port city of Izmir, but also dozens of other provinces across the country. One can say that these are the largest mass protests the country has seen for more than a decade. In Istanbul, the number of people who gathered outside of Istanbul City Hall was close to 1 million on Sunday night after Imamoglu was arrested by a Turkish court pending the outcome of his trial. Also, this is where the City Hall is where the main opposition leader Özgür Özel, as well as Dilek İmamoğlu, the Istanbul mayor's wife, were addressing the crowds along with dozens of opinion leaders, pop music singers, and other opposition party officials since last Wednesday. And as we are speaking here, people are gathering there again for a 7th consecutive night for one last time because Özel announced on Monday that they will end these gatherings outside of the City Hall after one more rally Tuesday night.
And that's a good pivot to my next question. Why did Imamoglu's CHP party say the protests will end Tuesday? And also, what can we expect after that announcement?
Well, Özel said the demonstrations would continue in other forms, but he stopped short of providing further details or clarifying his reasoning on that. One potential reason to end the demonstrations outside of the City Hall might be their concerns over provocations, and that these provocations could lead to larger scale clashes between the demonstrators and the riot police. We have seen some sporadic clashes so far between the two sides, but if violence erupts, then it will be harder to control the crowd, I believe. Also, even though CHP has decided, or Özgür Özel has decided to finalize rallies outside of the City Hall, it remains unclear if thousands who are taking to the streets for the past 6 days would go back to home. Tonight, for example, hundreds of people gathered in front of Şişli municipality to protest the government's takeover of the office there after Şişli Mayor Emrah Şahan was formally arrested on Sunday over terror charges.
Ezgi, what effects are the protests and the general situation having on the Turkish economy?
Good question. The Turkish lira hit record lows against the hard currencies, Adam, just immediately after Imamoglu was detained last Wednesday. And in a bid to prevent further depreciation of the Turkish lira, the central bank has sold more than 10 billion in hard currency. The stock market has also taken heavy hits. This is remarkable, especially central banks selling billions of hard currency is remarkable because Turkey has long suffered from currency crunch under unorthodox economic policies before 2023 elections. Then it turned economic orthodoxy under Turkey's new economy czar Mehmet Şimşek, who worked a lot to overcome this currency crunch. Turkey's net reserves, excluding the swaps, etc., was standing at more than 70 billion last month. But now those reserves are on decline again. And this is bad news for middle and working class people that are already having hard time to make ends, given already high inflation in Turkey, which still stands at over 40%.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Ezgi Akin after this short break.
Today's transformation of the Middle East is at the center of global geopolitics. Whether you're an analyst, diplomat, executive, or academic, you need the best reporting and analysis to understand what's really happening on the ground and what it means for the world. Al Monitor is the award-winning independent leader in Middle East news. From Riyadh to Beirut, Abu Dhabi to Doha, and Baghdad to Tehran, our team of over 100 expert journalists report daily on the top stories driving the regional trends. Download our mobile app and subscribe to Al Monitor to follow what leaders and decision makers are reading every day. Go to almonitor.com, that's AL-MONITOR.com, and use promo code POD25, POD25 for a discount.
Okay, we're back. Ezgi, my last question is about the future. What's next for Turkey after all this?
So, Adam, the very immediate next we will be following in Turkey will take place tomorrow, and it's the election to be held at Istanbul municipality for a deputy to replace Imamoglu. Since Imamoglu was formally arrested and suspended from his duties over corruption charges, Turkish authorities haven't appointed a government official to the municipality, but instead a CHP official is widely expected to replace his post. Then in 2 weeks, CHP will hold an extraordinary convention in which, as you know, in party conventions, parties are electing their leaders, in which Özel is expected to be elected again. And this convention is being held because speculations are rife that the government may be thinking to replace Özel, the CHP leader, and CHP management with government-appointed officials.
Ezgi, thanks so much for your time, and we look forward to more of your reporting from Turkey.
Thank you, Adam.
Thanks for listening to the Al Monitor Brief. Be sure to follow Al Monitor for more on the stories impacting the Middle East. Until next time, I'm Adam Lucente.